Hello everybody, Blade from the Hidden Blade channel. And Popgoes Arcade is a great FNAF fanverse game. The game is a prequel to Popgoes Evergreen, which is a remake of the original Popgoes game. I know, a bit confusing, but understandable once you play the game. Now Popgoes Arcade has two games, Popgoes in the Dead Forest and Popgoes and the Machinist. Technically it's more of a DLC. I will only be reviewing Popgoes in the Dead Forest, with Popgoes and the Machinist probably being a later review I do. Now Popgoes in the Dead Forest starts off with us playing as Popgoes the Weasel, learning that animals in the forest are going angry and attacking people. First we have to go to the West Forest, or Autumn Forest, with the enemies being the corrupt deer, hawk, and hedgehog. Now each forest has a bit of a ranking system. For all the enemies, usually there's a most common enemy, a bit stronger, but still pretty common enemy, and then a rare enemy with a lot of health, but a pretty high reward. The battle system has three main moves, with attack, block, and item. If you attack, there's a chance that you'll do a crit, which is 3 times the damage. Now, when you beat an enemy, you get coins, which can be used for restoring health items, shields, which add invincibility or decrease the enemy damage, and a 50% attack bonus, boosting your attack by half what it normally does. Anyway, after doing some grinding, you can get to the end of the path and fight Corrupt Chica, the first boss having a special attack where she jumps and avoids all damage that you attack her with. She can only use the attack every 3 turns though, so just space out your moves and you'll be fine. You then have to go back to the inn where you start talking to Sarah, which I will say is one of the things that slows the game down. You have to go back to the inn every time after beating a boss and talk to her, which just going back and going wherever you need to again, it's a bit slow. But regardless, we have to go to the South Forest and 3 new enemy types, the corrupt boar, cat, and woodpecker, taking the difficulty up a little bit more with more health and more attack power, which makes buying items like permanent health upgrade and attack very necessary, with the boss being Foxy, which has a hook that can do 180 damage. Now for my playthrough, he wasn't really a challenge as I didn't read through the tutorial, so I didn't know shots existed. And when I found them, I just started to max out my stats with all the coins that I had left over. So by the time I got to Foxy, I was already basically maxed out. So you beat Foxy and head over to the East Forest, with the enemies being the corrupt owl, beaver, and wolf. The wolf making crits are almost necessary, with the wolf having the same health as Foxy, a boss. Then we beat Bonnie, who has the dig ability, letting him get some sort of item for free. Beating Bonnie, we head over to the North Forest, or Dead Forest, where we can head to the castle. All of the level 1 type enemies, but with dead versions, that will steamroll you if you don't have max stats. Now, another minor complaint, even if you beat the weak enemies or the strongest enemies of the game, the same amount of coins, being only 10 to 25 coins, which has a bit more difficulty in grinding to the game, but nothing major. Regardless, when you get to the castle, you have to fight Corrupt Balloon Boy, which is the first enemy who is about on par with you. No real special abilities, just basic attack. Now, beating Balloon Boy will activate a kill switch, making all the bosses come back stronger, along with enemies getting a stat boost with a plus version, showing that they are in fact stronger. We also get to access Balloon Boy's Black Market, which is where you need to beat a certain number of enemies to unlock upgrades such as speed boots, which feel weird to go back to normal boots after having them. Along with speed boots, we have money boots, which will give you money for just walking. Now, this last upgrade is pretty useless once you have your stats fully maxed out. Now, this upgrade is pretty useless once you have your stacks maxed out. There's nothing you can really spend the money on. And lastly, the Spiky Shield. While the Invincibility Shield item is active, it will deal damage to the enemy if they attack, which is really nice and came in handy for the final boss. Anyway, doing more grinding, you'll get to Dead Chica, which is a more powerful than normal Chica. But when you beat her, you get a new ability called Jump. It allows you to jump over holes, and if you upgrade it with a new currency called Emerald Coins, you're able to use Jump during battles, which you can completely avoid the enemy's attack. Then you move on to the South Forest, where you fight Foxy, allowing you to get the hook ability, letting you use zip lines and doing 180 damage, which is really nice if you have any multipliers. Afterward, we go to the South Forest, not really being much of a challenge if you have the hook attack unlocked. Dead Bonnie being the boss, which is really easy if you have the hook. Now after this, you unlock the castle, where you get the final emerald coins and get all the abilities, and reach the final boss, Dead King Freddy, with 1,200 health. Now if you stock up on a 50% attack and get Balloon Boy's Spiky Shield, you will be fine. The way I did was just hit Freddy and then spam shield and jump until I beat him. Now one last thing, the black rabbit, which you get after going into a wall in the castle and getting the black rabbit key. Then you interact with a bird bath, and once you find all the parts of the black rabbit and go through a well, only interactable once you have the dig ability, you can go to the FNAF 2 minigame and end up fighting the black rabbit. But you do not need to actually fight. All you have to do is block and you'll win. Now, you can attack and get the really cool looking black rabbit jump scare, which I really like. It looks like something ripped out of FNAF AR. Now, for the review part, the pixel art in this game is great, with the bosses looking great, and Dead King Freddy looks pretty great with the detailing on his animations. The music is pretty good, but it does kind of get annoying after grinding for 3 hours, but I still like it. The combat is kind of basic, but to be fair, I only got to try the different abilities for about 20 minutes, so I may have not gotten the full experience. I only really used it for the final boss. The story is not more complicated than it needs to be, being a pretty good teaser game for Popgoes Evergreen. And thank you all for watching. I'm excited to play Popgoes and the Machinist and Popgoes Evergreen when that comes out. Thank you all for watching this. This has been Blade from the Hidden Blade channel. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Bye!